Tower of Valni 6. And no new character yet, but we should be getting one after this one. So, let's go ahead and check what we've got with the map. So, this map is kind of interesting. There are breakable walls all over the place, and quite a few chests. Also, I guess the enemies are getting somewhat stronger. You'll notice that they're finally having promoted enemies outside of the boss, so that's at least... it's actually a pretty big step up from the last chapter, come to think of it. Also another entomb, so more good experience, and hilariously, the boss white is weaker than many of the generic whites because that's how stat scaling works on hard mode. This guy always has a brave sword, though. I mean, he's still pretty terrible, but just bear that in mind. Wow, there are a lot of longbows here. Oh, I see. They're doing it to shoot over the double thick walls. Well, two can play at that game. I also happen to have a longbow user. Okay, you've got a chest key. Thankfully, you're much closer to the chests. If I remember right, though, there's only one enemy on this map with a chest key. Why don't you drop that spear? That's kind of... I guess maybe you were generated randomly with a spear, but because they don't want you getting poison weapons, they made it unable for you to drop things. Another rune sword. They're actually surprisingly common on a Valni. So there are a lot of archers here, as you can see. This chapter's all about leading you through narrow corridors and breakable walls while constantly being assailed by archers. Actually reminds me of a few Fire Emblem Heroes maps now that I think about it. But those three chests up the top there, so let me just quickly go over, thanks to Serenade's Forest, the contents of these chests. So, one of these chests has a chance of being a Physic, Fortify, Silence, or Restore staff. One of them can have a random number of swords, and one of them can have a few random tomes, including Nosferatu. This is the only way to get Nosferatu outside of buying it during the main story, and only the main story at Narub River. So, oh hey, we've got a chest key from... Actually, we've got both the chest keys. That's actually a good thing, because I could get these plus the one chest key, and I don't even need to bring a thief. Okay, that's pretty good. I just need to make sure that my two chest key holders go, up towards that part of the map. Yeah, I will be seeing them that way anyway. So yeah, you and Kyle are the two chest kills. I keep seeing that map's where I might expect it to sell, but no, it's Kyle. These are some pretty durable walls, though, at 50 HP. That's just a regular old killer bow. And I think that should be enough. Now, I do have to be pretty careful here, because the enemies are getting a bit tougher. Only 20 damage there. Can't quite break that. I may want to keep it unbroken for the moment. Steel there. Okay, you have a javelin, so I need to be careful of any magic user that tries to break that wall. But I can break through it like that. And send Marissa through. You know what? I was just thinking, we've only had one lethality this whole run of the tower, and then that happened. Of course it would. Okay, Franz will critical now. Okay, doing it intentionally doesn't work. Science has been conducted. Alright, let's see who goes where. I think I'll be sending Arthur up here. I can evenly split my squad into two groups of 4. There are quite a lot of enemies here. Okay, they are going to be trying to break the walls on their own. The AA doesn't always do this, but they definitely are here. And there goes that wall, which means the killer bow is going to possibly... Okay, my heart skipped a beat for a second there, because if that had crit, she would have died. Yeah, I had a feeling they would break that wall. I wasn't fully sure they would, so that's why I did that, and I shouldn't have, and that almost ended really, really badly. So, let's be more careful now. Right, iron bow, longbow, iron sword. Yeah, I'm gonna actually have Arthur... Yeah, let's just use Shine. He's actually almost leveled up again. That's actually enough to kill you. And I don't think she'd be in any danger there. Definitely send Kyle up there, but yeah, I might as well do this with my longbow. I've also got a few extra longbows that I picked up. Should probably have distributed those to Naomi, but oh well. I'm sure that she doesn't normally have this low HP. Although I could be wrong. Yeah, it feels kind of weird that she's being this frail. I mean, she normally is pretty frail, but I'm sure her HP is meant to be higher than that. Okay, that wall now has 33 HP. Don't think there's any way that I'll be able to break through it this turn. That guy has a rune sword, and if he uses it, then he's not going to drop the rune sword and instead drop a steel lance, which I might be okay with, come to think of it. I suppose we can break that one, use Iron Lance, hitting that wall. Okay, I have an idea. Let's send an expendable phantom into the breach. And Gilliam will just continue to trudge along that way. More slow wall breakage, and yep, there goes the phantom, but I kind of expected as much. And there goes this Bone Walker, because it's terrible and is not doing much to me. Don't want to get too complacent at this point, though, because, like I said, end badly here. Things are starting to get just very slightly tougher. Yeah, I had a feeling you were using the rune sword. And you hit, obviously. So that gives me a steel lance, which is fine. I kind of wanted to give Gilliam one of those anyway. Or Franz or Kyle. Okay, now I need to heal Franz. I guess I can use the steel axe here. I mean, having full weapon triangle access is kind of alright in general, but the fact that Great Knights have it too kind of makes them a lot better. I know that back in FE4, having access to most weapons was one of the few things that the general class had going for it, but even then, in FE4, weapons were balanced so badly that even with the weapon triangle, because it was the first game that had the weapon triangle, by the way, but weapons were so badly balanced, there were a lot of weapon types that you just didn't want to use at all. Like, most axes except for the Brave one were terrible. Most lances except for the legendary ones were terrible. All fire magic was terrible. Nah, yeah, that's not worth it. Because they're going to break through this wall this turn. Just going to go ahead and... Actually, no, let's not do that. Let's just stay here. Okay, if that wall is broken, then potentially someone could attack from range from here. Okay, you're the one with the spear. I need to keep an eye on you. And I wanted to send Naomi up here to have a longbow shootout with these guys. Okay, longbows she can comfortably fight because their damage output is terrible anyway. So her frailty doesn't really matter. That thing does not have a longbow, I believe, or I could... Yeah, it does have a longbow. I was wrong. I'm going to equip the javelin anyway, though, just because. And Arto will go here just for support bonuses. Speaking of supports, I guess I can go to my other tangent subject of FE Heroes and talk about... They have added the support system in that game. I'm really at the moment just doing supports for purely gameplay benefits. At the moment, all I've got is, because my main team is Hector, Ephraim, Ninian, who I recently managed to use crystals to get to level 40 because leveling up dancer units is kind of hard. I mean, other than Azura, who's pretty strong, but anyway. And Nino, who's still 4-star, not 5-star, because I haven't been able to promote her. It's funny, a lot of people say that it's like, oh, you get so many badges, but not enough hero feathers. I have a major shortage of badges for some reason. Like, I just do not have the badges to promote everyone that I want to. There's a lot of people that I could promote now. Like, I've got over 20,000 feathers, but I just don't have enough badges to. Mainly because I don't do the higher levels of the training tower very often. Yeah, my level ups have been really bad this entire run of the tower. But yeah, I just don't do the higher levels of the training tower very often. Make sure that you have no choice but to attack someone who can counter you. But anyway, so that's my main team. So I supported Hector and Ephraim just because they're my two main best 5-star attackers. And I also have a summoner support on Hector because he's my best 5-star, or at least the one that I mainly use. So I'm not really going for waifus or anything when it comes to summoner supports or anything like that. And I'm not going for, because I've seen so many screenshots of people supporting Crom and Cordelia, or Faye and Alm. But nope, not doing any of that. I'm just doing it purely for gameplay benefits. Although, I admit, I was very, very tempted to S-support, well, not S-support, but just start supporting Hector with Bride Lynn. I still love it whenever those two show up standing next to each other in my castle, especially if they both have hearts coming off of them. But, anyway, as I was saying, actually need to use the rune sword for a guaranteed kill here. That's kind of weird. But yeah, I'm mostly just doing supports for gameplay benefits like that. Although I admit, like, I've seen some very hilarious supports like Hector and Zephiel. I won't explain why that's hilarious, but yeah, still no strength. And once the Black Knight gets released, I'm sure everyone is going to be supporting him with Ike just for the sheer irony. These two share a mutual trust. Yeah. Anyone who's played Ike's games will probably know. I mean, it's funny, like, I would have said it, but, like, back in the day, the reason why Ike hates the Black Knight so much would have been a very obvious open spoiler that everyone would know, but because those games are really rare now, there might be a lot of people out there who genuinely haven't been spoiled on that plot twist, so, yeah, I won't mention it then. Another longbow. I mean, so you're still not moving. Okay, then. Can I break this wall in a single turn? I probably can, but there's no way that I'll be able to stop you from potentially attacking Rachel. And doing almost nothing to her. Why am I even worried? Oh, I can't even get through that wall in one turn anyway, can I? Oh, no, wait, I can! 26 and 24. Exactly enough. Cool thing about this wall is that we can attack it from quote-unquote melee range with a long-range weapon because it takes up 2 tiles. Oh, hey, Aura does... How much does that lower your speed by? 15 weight. Enough for you to get doubled? Probably not, especially since, yeah, no, he's not going to get doubled. I mean, this is kind of a waste of one use of Aura, but anyway. Yeah, everyone's like around level 3-ish at this point, and hasn't gained much in the way of stats. Oh, I forgot there was a 4th chest! I was only paying attention to the 2 up there. So I'm gonna miss another chest then, unfortunately. Oh, I mean, if... I should give why haven't I given Marissa a lockpick? If I had access to the convoy, I could just go in and give her the lockpick, but I can't, because I didn't bring Ephraim. So I now... If she had a lockpick, she could have opened that chest. Alright, we have 2 promoted enemies here. They're going to give considerably more in the way of experience than anyone else, so I want to save you for a bit later, because I don't want these two. These two are already quite high experience as it is, so... Although... Let's try luring you right over to that wall and having Rachel snipe you, although you'll probably die to Franz anyway, except I could equip him with a one-use weapon so as to avoid you dying to Franz. That's actually quite a lot of damage for an enemy in this stage of the tower. At least compared to what we've been seeing so far. Franz has been getting good level ups though. That's at least a not bad sign. 2 damage and 19% hit rate as well. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I still... Oh, nice crit there. But yeah, I still really don't like how they've made the S support animation heavily implied to be romantic, even though it's possible to do it between parents and children. Yeah, or Volta and Erica. I'm sure somebody has supported them before, and that disturbs me. There's a certain Ephraim quote that would be very appropriate to describe such a support. Although, speaking of discussing, I still... Admittedly, there was a... yeah, there was a fan art, I think, from the Japanese fandom that I admittedly actually did find kind of hilarious with the fact that in the Sacred World banner, it featured both of the characters that Geb, let's just say, tries to have his way with. So, that was kind of, yeah, disturbing, but also kind of hilarious at the same time that it worked out like that. Franz has got a lot of speed now, but it's almost capped, I think. Gilliam has not gained a single point of defense since he promoted to General, I just realized. That's pretty annoying. Still a lot of archers left. You know, speaking of memetic Fire Emblem characters, considering how much of a meme he is in the Japanese fandom, I'm wondering if they're ever going to add Grommel to Heroes. Because he did get a Cypher card, he is the only non-major boss to get one. Grommel, for those who don't know, is the boss of Chapter 25 of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, who... He's actually kind of a meme in the English fandom as well as the Japanese one, but more so the Japanese fandom, for the fact that he's pretty hilariously... Like, the map has these falling rock gimmicks that do a flat 10 damage to everyone in their path, ally and enemy alike, and it's part of his big plan to lure you into this mountain pass and then crush you all with rocks, but if you, let's just say that if you lower his HP to just the right amount, it's very possible to have him get killed by one of his own men dropping a rock on him, and just, the Japanese fandom just really loved that and turned him into a huge meme for that reason. He's kind of a meme in the English fandom as well, but more so in the Japanese one, as I said. And it's also for the fact that that he has a bolt axe and has terrible magic, so he does really bad damage, and he also has the Resolve skill, which boosts strength, skill, and speed by 1.5 times when you're under half HP. Which normally would be terrifying on a Wyvern Lord boss, but because he has the Bolt Axe, it doesn't really do much, because Bolt Axe works off magic, not strength. So he's also a meme for that. But basically, Grommel fails at everything, essentially. And he's quite a late-game boss, too, so that's part of why it's, I guess, people find it so amusing that he's just that terrible. But yeah, he has a card in Fire Emblem Cypher, and one of the card's abilities is getting killed by a falling rock. Which is pretty great. No, I still wish they'd release Fire Emblem Cypher over here, but it doesn't look like it. I've tried checking, like, local card shops, but they don't seem to be selling even the Japanese versions. I'd probably have to import if I wanted the cards. And considering how obsessive that I get over collecting Pokemon cards sometimes, I probably don't need another card game in my life like that, as much as some of the Cypher art is amazing. Why didn't you attack at all? Enemies do that in this game sometimes, and sometimes I question that behavior. Speaking of Cypher, I still haven't actually played the Cypher DLC in Echoes yet. One of the few Echoes DLCs that I actually want to get, just because it's new characters, all of whom have full voice acting, which is pretty awesome. That's actually, wait, provided that are critical, that's exactly one less than your HP, so... Okay, good, I didn't critical, I can get the experience for Namie, who probably won't get all that much. Because we're kind of beyond the period of anything promoted giving enormous amounts of experience. But I guess you could get a bit of experience from this, let's see. That's at least better than the basic enemies that we've been fighting. Okay, I thought you were also a longbow. Killing... Yeah, I'm gonna let you just waste that on Kyle. Not taking the risk again. Okay, let's break down that wall. We're slowly getting there. Are you tired of this music yet? We're not even in the Lagdo Ruins. I don't want to speak too soon, but this map hasn't been as bad as I thought it would be. Let me just quickly check the records. 163 monsters. We're probably going to make it there. I think the kill 200 in one run of the ruins is probably meant to be, like, in case you do a little bit of the ruins or tower and then leave. Because if you do a full run, you're almost guaranteed to get 200 kills. At least I'm pretty sure you are. Okay, there is an entomb there, and the bosses all tend to move. Brave Sword won't mean anything if you can't hit, though. There are also two short bow. Alright, you can reach all the way up there. That's kind of annoying. Now, I don't think it's going to do very much. That boss has terrible stats, but brave weapons are always kind of scary. Well, I mean, I've already told you about the story about the brave weapon Swordmaster in Path of Radiance, that I was scared about at first, and then it went no damage miss, no damage miss. So, they're not always scary. Alright, that's the other chest key. I need to... Let's get rid of the longbow, I guess. Probably wasn't the best decision, but oh well. Might as well leave that one for Gilliam, actually. This might be weighing Franz down a little bit. I'll have to... Actually, wait, Steel Lances are really heavy. It probably is weighing him down. Doesn't really matter when he's just this much stronger than the enemies, though. Okay, that's probably another... I've got so many S-rank Lance users now. Yep, that is an S-rank. So your attack is 21. Against defense 9, nope, not sending Marissa against that at all. I don't know that I can't provoke the lowest range enemy here without... although, Can provoke you guys without provoking him, because there's a wall there. Or I could send a Phantom in. I could send a Phantom in. I mean, I'd like for you to waste your Brave Weapon on a Phantom if at all possible. But we'll see. No, I'll send Gilliam and Franz through there. Gilliam is criticaling a lot, despite not having an innate critical bonus or a support or a high critical weapon at all. 10 gold! Yay, we can buy so much with that. At least it's better than 1 gold, which I've seen certain things drop. Alright, so let's go ahead and start unlocking these. 5,000 gold, which is not bad. See, it's way better than the, Another crit! What is it with everyone critting right now? That is definitely so much better than the Mage Knight critical of Fire Emblem 4, which is really... I've already said how bad I think that is, but Steel Lance, yeah, that's another one of those random weapon chests. I think I'll hold off for now, too. Yeah, get rid of the longbow right as I get attacked by a longbow. Good job. You're actually doing damage, which is surprising. You are... Yeah, you're not going to be doing damage because you're attacking a general. And still, there have not been any moguls at all. I do know there are moguls later. Also, I guess we can show you attacking with a sword. Yeah, the ranger sword animation is not that good. Okay, you have the second chest key, so I can go ahead and take that to Kyle. And then have him run there. You can now take that and unlock this chest. Divine. Okay, this is probably the chest... No, I'm sure this is the chest that can potentially have Nosferatu. So, if you didn't stock up back in the Narub River during the main story, this is the only way you can get more Nosferatu in this game. From a random chance from that chest. It's kind of weird, but it's just how things work. That's the only... yeah, the only place you can get more Nosferatu. And it almost feels like they should have had some kind of measure like that in Awakening, where Nosferatu was stupidly overpowered, but not here. Not here. Nosferatu is not that good here. Well, I guess it was a good thing that you got that vulnerary. And I actually have to break open this wall at some point, because there are enemies in there, and this is a route chapter. Oh, the Entombed attacked. But yeah, it really does feel like they should have made Nosferatu harder to get in Awakening, where, like I said, it was very, very powerful. Speaking of very powerful, Franz is taking a lot more damage than I'd like here. I'm kind of glad you did that, though, and Franz didn't get attacked by the Brave Sword. Okay, what I think I'm going to do now is, I think I'm going to rush in and destroy everything. Well, or at least as much as I can. The Brave Sword is going to be no threat at all to Gilliam, so... Let me just check, though. 20... Yeah, no, he's not going to take any damage. Unless I equip the Steel Axe, and then maybe he could potentially take some slight... What is up with Gilliam criticaling? He's becoming like the new FE12 Ogma or something. For those who don't know, in my playthrough of that game, Ogma would just critical all the time with low % chances. Oh, right. Now, this is kind of scary, because that thing could potentially do a lot of damage. And there's you. I'm gonna go ahead and summon a Phantom. Just to act as a human shield. Well, ghost shield, I guess. Attack against 5 defense. Yeah, Noel still has, like, nothing in the way of defensive stats. And now everyone up here who's kind of stuck unless they want to waste their weapons trying to break the wall. Which at this point, I doubt they're going to be contributing to anything, so I might as well leave them up there. Okay, here's that no-threat Brave Sword I was talking about. And Gilliam strikes again. Gilliam, the unintentional crit machine. I'm pretty sure he's critical more than Marissa with her Shamshir at this point, and that's really bizarre. What's also bizarre is I'm sure his strength should be much higher than this. Really wasn't expecting Gilliam to get the boss kill, but I guess I have to take it. Who, quote-unquote, needs this Entomb kill the most. I'll just have Noel soften it up first. And then Marissa to take it. Entombed having a lot of luck means that it's harder to critical them. Even with a Shamshir, I've got a 28% crit rate here. But I might as well go for it. And I got lethality regardless. So, Noel, I guess Noel attacking gave him a tiny bit of experience, so it's no big loss, but still. I was hoping for more strength there, but yeah. I mean, you are only level 4 assassin, it's not really that much of an issue, but it's still quite low. Franz definitely needs a weapon restock after this. I probably need a voice restock after this, because I'm definitely starting to get a little bit dry and, yeah, not able to talk all that well. 2 left. Yeah, they're going to take far too long to get down here. Why did I do that? I probably should have, only 16. And the Rune Sword's not gonna... raising your axe experience by attacking a wall. Thankfully, attacking the wall didn't kill you, like it can if you're using a devil weapon, which people love to show off. Actually, Franz needs healing a little bit. Do you have Physic? No, you just have Silence. I should probably give you some better stuff soon. Okay, let's finish off that wall now. And then we actually should be done here. I suppose I could restore 1 HP with Nosferatu, but let's not do that. Especially since, like I said before, Nosferatu is kind of rare in this game. Okay, only 1 left now. Let me check again how many monster kills I've got. 174. Also quite a bit more experience than I thought I'd be getting. Especially since I'm only getting tiny amounts from most enemies here. There's no real, like, experience rank or anything here. It's just kind of fun to compare your records. Yeah, I thought he'd get a level up off of that. No, that was okay. And so that is floor 6 clear. We're getting there. Okay, just a few more floors to go. Tower of Valni 7. And we have a new secret character, one that might be quite familiar, and yet also not. So the good news is that Orson has lost his creepy eyes, and also he's got his original help description back, which is good. Unfortunately, the same can't be said for his levels. So, remember Orson back from the main story? He actually had decent growth rates and didn't start at that high of a level. Wouldn't it be great if you actually got to use him for any decent length of time? He'd actually be quite good, almost rivaling Seth in usefulness. And hey, we've just got him back in Creature Campaign, so surely that time is now, right? Oh, you wish. Creature Campaign Orson joins 10 levels higher than he did in the main story, and his stats have barely got much higher. He has the exact same growth rates, but his averages have seen a considerable hit just due to the lack of levels that he has to grow. In case you're wondering, Creature Campaign Orson and Main Story Orson are considered two completely separate characters. Any items that Orson had left in his inventory when he left the party are not going to be in Creature Campaign Orson's inventory, and any experience or levels that Orson gained during the main story, completely wasted, as his Creature Campaign incarnation will always join at level 13. So, sadly, you don't really get Orson back. Just a much, much worse version of him. So, yeah, at least he comes with a red gem, though, which is pretty nice, and another rune sword. But I'll take an extra silver lance. That's good, too. I just realized that when my convoy runs out of space, I can always use my extra characters as storage. So anyway, let's go ahead and check the map for Floor 7. This one is actually very unique. I like this map quite a lot. So, we have several of these little sort of elevated platforms. Most of which having the same type of enemy and one promoted enemy. Oh, that thing has a lot of HP. Also, the stats are starting to take quite a bit of a hike here. So, yeah, as you can see, the promoted enemies are a lot stronger than normal. Also, there's this one random Bale in the middle of all of these mouthed dudes. And another random Bale in the middle of all of these moguls. Finally, moguls! I don't know why it took them so long to have magic using enemies, but as always, arch moguls hit very, very hard. And also some gargoyles and a death goyle right at the end. But you might notice how not even flyers seem to be able to cross this darkness here. Like, as you can see by the minimap here, it literally counts as no type of tile whatsoever. It's just not map at all. So, how do we cross these towers? Well, we'll see. We have to deal with the first one first. And also, these little holes in the wall, what they are will make sense eventually. So let's see who we got here. Oh yeah, I was about to strange around people's weapons. So yeah, Franz definitely needs more weapons. Gilliam could use a steel lance. Think you're fine. Oh, you barely have any fluxes left. Do we have another? I do have one flux tome. Marissa, let's see. You have so many surplus rune swords. I think Kyle is pretty much okay. Franz could definitely stand to use a few extra weapons. Let's see what we've got here. I guess we have to bring an iron lance. Well, you got another steel lance. Okay, let's go ahead and actually want to trade that to Kyle now I think about it. Also, at this point, who has that steel blade? Did I put that in the convoy? No, I didn't. Who has it, man? Well, for the time being, I'll just go ahead and grab some extra bows for Naomi. Let's go ahead and grab that killer bow and that longbow. I still don't know where that steel blade went, but doesn't really matter, I guess. Let's just go ahead and give that to Kyle. And I think that should be enough inventory management. Let's see what we've got here. Probably want to rush in with a lot of mounted people at this point, just to kill off as many of these revenants as I can. So, the promoted enemies in these maps don't move. At least that's what I've read. So, we'll see if that's true or not, but it probably is true. Let's take this one out now. I'm 90 missing, really? That's gotta be like 99% or something along those lines. That is incredibly annoying. Guess I can finish off using this lance. The enemies are starting to get quite a bit tougher. They're actually able to damage our characters, which is something. The unpromoted things aren't giving all that much experience, though. Alright, so... I think LaRachel should do okay here. Her evasion is pretty absurd, so not really that worried about her. And... let's see. Still 25. I checked her averages, and her average HP at this level is something along the lines of 29-ish, so she's almost 5 points below her average HP, which is pretty awful. Let's go ahead and summon a phantom. I guess I could say something kind of weird here, but that doesn't look that great. But yeah, let's just try and snipe you. Sometimes back when I first played this game, I would use the term invigorate a phantom. Just being silly because, okay, it's going to be a little bit of a long story to explain why I say that, but... So, there was this hip... Why is there a little bit of lag every time I end someone's move in this map? Probably to do with its unique mechanics, but anyway, like I was saying. So there was this Hypno card in the Pokemon trading card game that has this attack called Invigorate, which is a move that revives a fainted Pokemon out of your discard pile. Now, when I was a kid, I didn't really know what Invigorate means, so I saw its effect and assumed that Invigorate meant raise the dead. So, yeah. So I always thought of it like, Invigorate! Just kind of a silly thing, but anyway, that's why I call it invigorating a phantom sometimes. Just a silly callback to my childhood. But anyway, let's go ahead and de-invigorate these zombies, I guess. I get the feeling, I haven't looked up that card in a while, it was quite an early card, but I get the feeling that actually was something along the lines of resurrect in Japanese and they censored it in English. I know that there was a much later, a Gengar card that had its ability that I think was originally Death Sentence changed to Fainting Spell. So yeah, the Pokemon card game does have a tendency for silly censorship sometimes. But I mean, it is aimed at kids, so that sometimes makes sense. Although I'm pretty sure Death Sentence was the original Japanese name for the Doom status in Final Fantasy, which can get really confusing playing the old censored versions of the NES games where the Death spell got turned into Doom, and the actual Doom spell became Countdown. Yeah, that got confusing. Because I keep thinking, oh right, that's Doom, it's going to take effect in a few turns. Oh wait, no, it just kills you instantly. Going on random tangents here, but usually Doom tended to be fairly useless in most of the games it was in, but it was pretty funny having it as one of Kumari's skills in FF10, because there were some enemies that were vulnerable to it, and that included the final boss, kind of. I don't really consider that the final boss. I consider the actual fight before that, the one that's actually challenging the final boss of that game, but anyway. So you might notice these tiles just suddenly appeared. That's the gimmick of this map. Defeat all of the enemies on each platform, and some, well, other platforms will appear that lead to the next platform. Saying platform a lot. Now, this map is pretty much a direct callback to I don't need to worry about you because you don't move. This map is pretty much a direct callback to Binding Blades' second last chapter, chapter 24, I think it was. But that also featured several unconnected platforms where once you defeated... Well, actually, I think they all had an individual throne, and once you seize each throne, the path to the next platform would appear. But it's similar in concept. The map even looks kind of similar. A shame the Path to Greatness isn't playing here. That was a pretty good song. Like, I don't like FE6's OST very much at all. I felt like the soundtrack is pretty low quality for a GBA game. I mean, it was admittedly their first GBA soundtrack, so I can't really complain too much. But yeah, that's another one of the reasons I don't like FE6 very much. I find its OST is not the best. However, there are a few good songs on it, and Path to Greatness is one of them. There's a reason it was an unlockable song in Blazing Sword. Beneath the New Light is also pretty good. No coincidence that those are two map themes heard right after each other. I always considered that... Okay, yeah, that definitely is going to kill. I was stupid there. I always considered Beneath the New Light to be Roy's theme. Even though I guess it technically isn't, it just always sounded like that to me. Guess I'm just gonna have to try and blitz through these enemies as quickly as possible, not really caring so much about experience, because Tower of Valni's already gone on quite long, but this is one of the more interesting maps in the tower, I find, and wow, France's crit rate is just... Okay, that's probably because of his S rank. Oh, and Gilliam was critically so much earlier on because of his S rank as well, I'm an idiot. Yeah, that's why. Speaking of being an idiot and Gilliam, originally, yeah, earlier on, I was saying that, oh, I'm probably activating a 1% chance. And, of course, Great Shield's activation rate is the enemy's level, not yours, so it was having like a 10% chance or so of activating, which made sense that it was activating so often. Meanwhile, more Twisted Shadows B, which you'll be hearing a lot in the post-game. At least the actual skirmish maps use their original map themes. Though I do like how Awakening and Fates did the skirmish music, like letting you actually choose the song that plays on them. I wish you could do that for this game's Tower of Valni and Lagdo Ruins, but I guess that's for a potential remake, maybe. LaRachel just barely is... That's still not enough. Oh, what am I doing? I can just use a longbow to chip away at you from long range, though I have to be careful of potentially enemies attacking her, because that thing is very heavy. And yes, get used to mounted archers using longbows, because it's not going to last. They took away that ability in Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Well, at least, I forget if they did in Path of Radiance or not. I know that in Radiant Dawn, mounted archers could not use longbows. Or crossbows, which made them pretty bad. I've said it before, but yeah, that's one of the few games in the series where mounted archers were actually worse than on-foot archers. Some people aren't even on the second platform. Yeah, I feel like it's just the complicated way this map works that's causing a bit of lag every time I end someone's turn. That's probably why. Okay, next is Bales. Yeah, those are all Sharp Claws and, well, the kind of, I guess, a mini-boss, although, funnily enough, they're probably stronger than the actual chapter's boss. Need to be careful once we get to the Mogul one, though. Obviously, I want to have Arthur or even Noel fight them. Summoners are pretty decent in the resistance department. LaRachel's not bad at it either, and just seriously look at those stats. Yeah, LaRachel definitely has a lot of Magikarp power going for her if you can actually train her. He is supposed to as well, but this one has not turned out so well. I don't want Franz to hog all the glory here, because he's already over-leveled. I want to keep LaRachel away from potentially getting attacked by Sharp Claws, because those do a lot of damage. And saw that coming. Also saw that coming. Probably should have equipped a high critical weapon rather than the Rune Sword, but that's fine. Alright, now, in fact, if I... Wait a minute, you're quite... high movement. Yeah, I had a feeling you'd do that. But yeah, if I get rid of this one, Amy might be able to head on over in front of this other spider. Let's see, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, you pretty much have to fight this spider if you want to make yourself useful here. And another crit. Let me just check Rachel's weapon rank. Oh, Anima just went up. She's obviously not in S rank yet, but oh, it's A now. Even though the A rank Anima tome just isn't really worth using very much at all because it's kind of ridiculously heavy for what it does. Alright, I'm just gonna go for this, and Fran's gonna have to bail her out if she doesn't critical either of these. And she didn't critical either of those, so Fran's gonna have to bail her out. Yeah, Franz is the only one who can do this. And I want to do this because I might want someone else to get the boss kill. Mini-boss kill, whatever. And yet more of that S-rank bonus low crit rate things. Kyle isn't quite level 4 yet, so I might let him get this one. Arthur is lagging behind a lot, though. Gonna need to get him much further forward by the time we face those moguls. Oh, you are doubling, that's surprising. Let's just go for this. This Bale has a lot of HP for a Tower of Valni enemy. Yeah, even a double crit is not enough to kill there. She doesn't kill something with getting no crits on 2 attacks, and then she doesn't kill something by getting a double crit. This has just been the turn, well, the 2 turns of Namie not killing things. Okay, there's a level up. I expected strength there, but you know, that actually I'm pretty sure is enough speed to have been able to double that Bale, so that's unfortunate. Okay, that spot has you getting attacked by 3 things. Also, well, you wouldn't get attacked by that Gwilgi anyway. See, as I was mentioning, there are reinforcements here, and they come out of these holes in the walls. Yeah, the map is literally changing itself as we go. This must have been pretty difficult to program now I think about it. It's probably the reason for all the lag here. And now I shall summon a Well, wait, no, I shall invigorate a Phantom again. And move it up to this spot to lure in some enemies. Even though the rest of us aren't really ready to fight them just yet. Another Phantom gets eaten by a spider. Yeah, those are the reinforcements. And because this is a route map, I have to fight them. I just realized that. Right, who wants to stay behind on reinforcement killing duty? I'm going to say Gilliam, because he's not going to be against those moguls, and Namie, because she has effectiveness bonus. So they're just going to stay back here and wait for these gargoyles to come to them and fight them. Thankfully, gargoyles are nowhere near as annoying to fight as they are in Echoes, where I've said this many times before, but they are surprisingly durable thanks to... Archer should not have 13 speed as a level 4 bishop. Someone pointed out that being friends, and in this case now married to Lute, means that, yeah, he's also sharing her speed curse. Slayer's kind of making up for it, though. And most of these enemies are so slow that you just double them anyway. With the exception of the Mouth Dooms. Which I think Franz is not going to be able to double, probably. In fact, let's go ahead and invigorate another Phantom. And just have an extra shield for Franz. Arthur is going to get used eventually, just not quite yet. And that one's gone too. I remember that one of these... Oh, Frams actually is doubling them. Nice. Something that I didn't realize until I checked a few, well, not so much unused pages, but I was checking a few things, but it makes sense because a lot of monsters tend to get doubled even when their speed looks like they shouldn't be getting doubled. Monster weapons do have weights. And it's kind of differently tied to each monster weapon. So these Fiery Fangs actually might be weighing these things down enough to get doubled. Well, I mean, their speed only being 19 means Franz can probably double them anyway, but yeah. Monster weapons do have weight. They've got full stats like might, hit, weight, critical, and things like that, but you can't see them unless you, either via... Not exactly hacking, but like by glitches you can see... Well, I don't think you can even see them if you glitch. You kind of have to work them out yourself. I calculated the might of Sharp Claws by myself earlier in the playthrough. It's like 14. But, yeah, you sort of have to calculate them all yourself. You know what, go ahead. And I will summon another one. At least there's 10 experience per summon, so summoners tend to level up quite often. Okay, so here come the gargoyles. I think I'll just... Why didn't you move? That worries me. I may have to run ahead and meet you after all. Yes, he is equipping the axe, good, except he's probably not going to double. That's part of why I didn't want Gilliam to fight these things on his own. Needs someone else to be able to kill things more quickly. But yeah, I'm sure you're realizing now just how fun Phantoms are for luring. It's nice having something completely expendable in a Fire Emblem game. It's not often you get that. I mean, FE5 had that weird time when there was a, it was like Glade. When you recruited Glade, he had a bunch of random NPCs that were actually controllable by you. And they were just called like Lance Knight and Axe Knight. They were pretty hilarious. You only had them for one chapter anyway, so there was really nothing, like no reason for you not to use them as expendable meat shields, which was pretty amusing. Yeah, let's do that anyway. She should be having a lot more HP than this. Now, there will be more gargoyles eventually. They sort of start there and they work their way up through all of these spaces, so hopefully we won't have to deal with them all. Yeah, let's have Arthur get some attention here. And another critical. If Arthur reaches an S rank in Light Magic, in fact, I think he just did. Let me check. No, he definitely just did, because he could use Aura before. So he just did, good. So I can actually demo Vivaldi, even though it's kind of pointless, because it, like, Slayer makes you effective against monsters anyway. Yeah, that thing is pretty tough. Yeah, Rachel will just stay behind. Do another summon. And yeah, the enemies will almost always attack a Phantom because they always go for kills wherever possible, and Phantoms only have 1 HP. Well, yeah, Aura can be kind of fun for these purposes. If Divine only did a little bit more, though. Let's go ahead and just try and Aura Vaporize this one. Aura also has a really awesome animation, as you've seen when we fought Reeve earlier in the game. But as I've also mentioned, Aura is not actually the same Aura from Marth's games. If it was, it would be either female only or outright Linda only. I still don't have Linda in Heroes. I really want her, but I still don't have her. No, I guess Carl can take this one. Actually, wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no, Carl won't be in range. Because yeah, when that bridge appears, it will be open to ally and enemy alike. Okay, yeah, there. It just plugged that gap directly. So... Oh, I wish I had a Dancer to refresh Arthur, but... I do not. Now, you are... So there's just such a radical difference in power between Evil Eye and, well, you actually can see the might in this case of Monster Magic and Crimson Eye, but also a radical difference in stats. So yeah, 16, even with Weapon Triangle advantage versus Rachel. Yeah, you're going to be doing nothing to her. I can put her in your range just fine. Or, I could... That's a pretty nice hit rate with Silence. And silencing you wouldn't be a bad idea, but I may want to save that for the ruins where silence might actually mean something. Because that thing's probably going to get killed anyway. And back down here, do you have, no, you don't have any vulneraries. This is where I would really hate it if there were ambush spawning reinforcements in this game, because they could probably finish off Mamie before they would just suddenly appear next to her, and then she would die. Yeah, ambush spawning reinforcements are, yeah, Rachel doesn't even have an S rank, and she's still criticaling all the time. Probably due to her luck stat, I guess, and also Thunder having a higher than normal crit rate. Good, a second Mogul. Less of them is always a good thing. But yeah, like I was saying, ambush spawning reinforcements are always just, yeah, I do not know who at Intelligence Systems thought that was a good idea. So yeah, if those were ambush spawning, Mamie would be dead right by now. Definitely dead. Okay, let's just get rid of that heavy spear. Wait a second. It doesn't matter, Gilliam can rescue her anyway, and he probably suffers barely any penalty from rescuing because he's not... It's not like he's doubling these things anyway. So let me just check. 22 attack, you have 7 defense, so yeah, -2, that goes to 5, 15. That is actually enough to kill her. Except Gilliam does double and does exactly enough to kill, so I don't actually need to rescue. So rescuing would actually impact him. Doubling Gargoyle, something you don't see in Echoes very often because of the way that game's doubling mechanics work. They even have 1 more speed. Like, yeah, anyway. It's harder to double things in Echoes, basically. And yeah, that still hurts quite a lot. Except this, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, no, that doesn't hurt at all. So, really, there's no real risk to having Rachel go here. And I hope I can finish this before any more gargoyles spawn. Because I don't want to have to go all the way back again and take them out. Reinforcements in route chapters are always annoying. Yeah, nobody really likes gigantic route maps with huge amounts of reinforcements. And I'm actually doubling. This is kind of funny. Let's actually do this. And he got hit. If he didn't hit, he'd actually be doing a pretty sizable amount of damage. How much do you do with the... Nope, nope, not doing that. Now, the moment that we kill off all of these enemies, the gargoyles up there will be able to move towards us, so I'll need to keep an eye on that. But good thing we aren't going to be killing off these enemies during the enemy phase. So that's good. And nice dodge there. I will be very disappointed in you, Rachel, if you don't double. Okay, good. And she crit. Yeah, I don't really like grinding during the main storyline, but if I was doing that, I probably would have tried to promote Rachel before we fought Reeve, because she has a pretty great special boss conversation with him. She's only level 5 promoted, and she is almost capped luck. That just shows just how good Rachel's luck stat is. Alright, now we just need to be a bit careful, because like I said, we're going to be opening up this area the moment that, None of you have horse slayers, right? No. Okay, yeah, the moment this thing goes down, we're going to be opening up the path to those gargoyles. Oh, I was hoping for a crit there. Whenever you're hoping, it obviously doesn't happen. Haven't commented on it yet, but I really like the assassin dodge animation. Saw it a lot back in FE7 with Jafar. Yeah, I thought it would be a double wide bridge there. Guess I can put the axe there, and Franz can actually fight one of them already. Alright, just remember, they said that the promoted enemies on these things don't move, although that probably doesn't apply to the Death Goyle. And yeah, so note that even though these things are flying, this abyss is, like, completely impassable to anything, including flyers, because it's not even considered map tile at all. So this bridge has giant invisible walls blocking the gargoyles from flying around it, which is pretty hilarious. At least to me. I don't know, I get amused by weird things sometimes, but, it is still pretty bizarre, just that blackness in this map. It's like, it's not even a type of tile, it's just completely non-map. That was to be expected. A lot of dead phantoms in this map. And yet another S-rank boosted critical. Now, will the boss... Yes, the boss does move. I had a feeling that he did. So good that I proved myself right there. Oh, please no more Ah! Congratulations, map. You just artificially lengthened your own length. Or something like that. Anyway. Toxin Lance and Axe Reaver. Okay. So, yes, this map is now longer. Joy. Okay, yeah, let's just hit you with an axe. Guess I can check the number of monster kills that I have here. I'm pretty sure okay, I'm guessing I'm over 200 by now. Yes, I am just over 200. Nice. 70 turns, though. See, like, at one point I was thinking to myself, like, do people do, like, low turn count runs of the Tower of Ruins? And then I just realized, due to the fact that, like, you have much more free... It's a little hard to describe, but it's like... So, like, in the main chapters... It's a lot easier to judge exactly, like, basically, so any player playing through the main chapters of a Fire Emblem game will usually, for the most part, always have access to the same resources, so it's easier to kind of judge, like, how low a low turn count is, comparatively, because everyone has access to the exact same things, whereas... With the tower, because you choose when to do it, and the fact that it's accessible during the post-game, when you can just use any combination of characters with any number of stat boosters or random items, it's a lot harder to compare attempts, I guess, because no two players will have the access to the exact same things when doing the tower. I hope that makes sense, but yeah. I guess you could judge it based on assuming that everyone has maxed out stats and everything, and then do just low turn count runs of the Tower and Ruins that way. That's probably the only real way to do that. And it probably involves just using all paladins. Anyway, I don't care if Gilliam gets poisoned here, because the map's going to be over soon. At least I hope the map's going to be over soon. If Gilliam doesn't double here... Right. So, Gilliam not doubling there, let's see what that's caused. It means that Gilliam has to finish off this enemy this turn by staying here, which means that Naomi can't use anything except the longbow to attack the other guy, which thankfully the longbow is still 1 round anyway, so I'm safe. Unless Naomi misses an 88, which she very well could with my luck. These stupid reinforcements though, maybe take an extra turn here. Oh, 81, not 88. Of course she did! And knowing my luck, that's going to be just enough turns to summon more reinforcements. So I'm just going to send everyone back here because I'm fully prepared for 2 more gargoyles to spawn. Fortunately, Nolan and LaRachel should have that covered. Nola, Rachel, and Franz, definitely. And because of the Axe Reaver, this is probably going to miss. But I mean, if you would just kindly... Oh, of course, if that had hit, then this would have ended right here. There are going to be more reinforcements, aren't there? Oh, there aren't. Okay, that's fine. But this still took longer than it was supposed to. So for that, you are going to... I was wanting to use an overkill killer bow, but that's fine. You still died a painful death. So that's one of the more interesting maps in the tower out of the way. Next will be the last one.